Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining me every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do share it with your friends and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. And today we have MRV with us. Welcome, MR.
Good evening.
MR Venkatesh, popularly known as MRV, is one of India's leading advocates on economic criminal laws and a much sought after legal professional. He is also a keen student of economics and politics as a professional. He has been an advisor to several corporates and promoters on complex transactions involving cross-disciplinary expertise. Today, we'll be discussing his latest book, Retaining Balance, The Eternal Way. This is his fourth book. Viewers, before we do that, I'd like to give you the latest on the Taliban regime and get Emma's viewpoint on this before proceeding on to the book. And Emma, also, if we can take some questions from our readers, from our viewers in the end.
Okay, I'll definitely do that, Meena. And see, Taliban was something that was waiting to happen.
I'll just give you a small brief, Emma, and then you can take over from there. Yeah. So what the latest headlines is that Pakistan is like our second home, says the Talibanis, advise India over the Afghan policy. Talibani spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid said in an interview that Pakistan was their second home and that no activity will be allowed on Afghan soil against Pakistan. Taliban's swift takeover of Afghanistan following the start of pullout of international forces has given rise to fears regarding security conditions in the region deteriorating rapidly. India is keeping a close eye on developments in Afghanistan and also in Pakistan, which has supported Taliban's siege of Kabul. After Afghanistan's acting president, Amrullah Saleh, exposed Pakistan's clandestine support to the Taliban, the insurgent group has described the Imran Khan-led country as their second home. And Zabiullah Mujahid told media in an interview that Pakistan was their second home and that no activity will be allowed on Afghan soil against Pakistan. It has been almost 12 days since the Islamic Emirates entered Kabul. We have seized control of all areas, restoring peace and normalcy, he said. When asked about the ties of Taliban-ruled Afghanistan with India, he described the country as an important part of the region, adding that good ties were in everybody's interest. Now, isn't India facing an imminent threat from these people, Imran?
Obviously, yes. We can't be oblivious to what is happening at our backyard.
Yeah.
What is happening is that Pakistan, which is a rogue nation, is going ballistic with yet another nation called Afghanistan, which is imploding. So it's a deadly cocktail, Molotov cocktail that is brewing at our backyard. And Taliban, you must understand, means roughly, I am told that it roughly translates to students.
Yeah.
These are the students who claim that they have interpreted Islam the correct way. The way women to be treated, the way outsiders or infidels or kafirs have to be treated, the way they have to deal with science, technology, the way they have to handle power. This is a laboratory of the pristine form of Islam. And you will be shocked that Pakistan may not have the intellectual wherewithal to support this laboratory. It may give financial, it may give tactical, it may give physical support. It may give even army support. The army in Pakistan is supposed to have very close links with the Taliban. But the Deoband school, which is in Uttar Pradesh, has probably given the correct interpretation of Islam. And Taliban's alma mater is in Deoband. So you have to see that the laboratory may be in Afghanistan, The physical power may be in Pakistan, but the technology or the scientific or what may I call the formula is in Yemen. So you have to understand it is, as I began by saying that it is in our backyard, I need to say that yes, it is in our backyard, but there is enormous amount of traction happening within India, and a good amount of Muslims, be it in Kerala, be it in Uttar Pradesh, be it in Assam, be it in any place in India, believe that Taliban is the correct follower of Islam, and we need to mimic at the earliest what Taliban has done to Afghanistan. We need to do it in India. So it is an ideological battle, though it may not have surfaced, but I don't know when it will surface, but it will surface. And I'm not prophesizing anything. I'm saying that the natural flow of events will be that one day, sooner than later, the Talibanic sympathizers in Indian Muslim community, aided, abetted very, very generously by our liberals, will see that the Talibanization Act Part 2 will play out in full public glare in India. And that is where we are heading to.
Yeah. Do you think Biden did this deliberately?
See, I don't credit Biden with any great intelligence. To do it even deliberately, you require to have some intelligence. Biden probably was bitten by some sort of a liberal view of the world, and of course, it's my theory that the China controls the liberals and the Democrats in America, and the Chinese and the Russians have somehow managed and contrived to convince the Americans, and especially the American state under Biden, to withdraw from Afghanistan. I think America is now can be termed as a past superpower. A superpower doesn't behave like this. A superpower doesn't ditch its own people who invested in it for such a long time. And look at the fate of Afghanistan today. Killed, butchered, and the women there. And you know, the horror scenes are replaying before our eyes, where people are fleeing in plane as if it were some bus from Gorakhpur. You know, people are fleeing that. These type of scenes and I will blame Biden solely and fully responsible for what is happening and what is playing out in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Do you think that India should play an active role in supporting the Northern Alliance and leaders like Saleh and Ahmad Massoud?
See, the enemy of Taliban is not your natural ally. Please understand, it's romantic to think that the Northern Alliance will be your natural ally just because they are opposing Taliban. We do not know to what extent, for instance, they believe in democratic process, to what extent they believe in equality to women. We do not know to what extent and when it push comes to a shove, whether Northern Alliance will stand by India or whether they will stand with Pakistan. Please understand, the caliphate is the biggest end game of all these nations and Islamic under the Islamic theology. Now, I may believe in a particular version, I may believe in another particular version, but in totality, I want to establish a caliphate. I want to go ahead with the Islamic, broad alliance of 20-30 countries, which owe allegiance to Islam. So whether the Northern Alliance wants to be part of a caliphate and whether their leader wants to be heading Afghanistan and be Taliban 2.0, or whether he wants to be a completely different man, we have no clue about either. I must be very clear that I have no idea about what is this nature of this beast called Northern Alliance. Whether they are pro-Pakistan, pro-Sunni, pro-Shia, pro-women, pro-democracy, pro-America, pro-Russia, pro-China, we have no clue. But just because there is some vague understanding that they are opposing Taliban, So we want to oppose it or we want to support is not something that I would like to do. I want to understand them before I extend my friendship to them.
Yeah. What do you see the position of women in Afghanistan now?
I would see them as what I saw it in India and during the Muslim rule or the Mughal rules. Islam doesn't give weightage to women at all. They are worse than cattle, according to them, and it's terrible. It's terrible. And to my sisters in Afghan, I have nothing but prayer, and I feel an impotent rage overtaking me as to how could we solve their problems. You see them being beaten, maimed, raped, being taken in as slaves, and we can't do a damn about it. And it feels a complete sense of helplessness overcomes you. So my view, Meena, is that the world has a limited role to play, but that limited role the world is refusing to play. Where is the UN? Where is the superpowers? Where is the Muslim world? The Muslim world doesn't care about Afghani women. Please understand, this is a very important point. And Indian Muslim women must note this. Who bat for some sort of a very hardened version of Islam. Especially Indian women and Muslim women must realize this. Not even one Muslim country, whether it is Iran, whether it's Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Syria, all these, Turkey, all of these people are tight-lipped about the fate of Afghani women. So the women are expendable. So that's the larger message that we are getting. And I shudder to think if the same type of Taliban takes over, say, Egypt, or the Islamic Brotherhood or Islamic State or ISIS, or any of these guys take over any of these countries, the fate of women is predetermined. That they have to face torture, they have to face physical violence, they have to be killed, they have to be maimed, they have to be converted into slaves. So the world is looking at this huge horror silently, and in fact, as if looking at the other side as if nothing has happened. Shame on all of us. That's all I would say.
KB is asking you, 2 explosions just rocked Kabul airport. First is a suicide bomber, 13 killed. What are MSR's views on that, please?
So the suicide bomber is entitled to 72 virgins right now. So that's all I can say. So that is what inspires him, and that is what compels him to perform such a dastardly act. And that's all I can say. What do you say? What do you say of people who kill themselves? And how do you relate to somebody who doesn't mind killing himself? No, there is nothing else left to deal with him. When I don't want to live, how do I care about whether you live or you die? So that's the stage when we are dealing with such type of madcaps, and this is driven by a theology. Please understand. And unless you detoxify this theology and understanding of a particular religion, we are going to have repeated waves. You can't stop it by any amount of barricading or security or screening is not going to help you. We have to detoxify. And that's a huge challenge.
Monica is asking you, should Australian government recognize the Taliban government?
Now, I'm neither an Australian nor an Afghani, but I don't know why should we worry about Australian government, recognizing Taliban government. But assuming that every government, I would put it, pragmatism will overcome us at some point of time. We will recognize the Taliban government sooner than later. And in India, youngsters may not know this. India did not recognize the previous round of Taliban government. And when IC-814 was hijacked to Kabul and to Kandahar, our External Affairs Minister Jaswant Singh flew, and we had established links with Taliban. At that time, the chief negotiator was the present NSA, Mr. Ajit Doval, and he got all the passengers safely back to India. Now, of course, we paid a price for it. That's entirely different. The point I'm saying is, whether we recognize or whether we don't, there will be some sort of backtrack channels and back channels working to see that at least we keep the ball moving and the pot boiling, so that should push comes to a shove at a later date, we are not caught flat-footed. We don't even have the telephone numbers.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move to your book, Emma. So let me first show you the cover of the book, friends. So just bear with me. I'll just let me show you the cover of this brilliant book that Emma has written. Just bear with me. Yeah, it's called Retaining Balance, the Eternal Way. Can you see it, friends?
Yes. It's live, very much on the screen. Yeah.
So, Emma, can you tell us who designed this cover and how much time you took, to write this book?
This cover was designed by somebody unknown, and I got it from the internet. I'm still searching for the author of this wonderful painting.
Okay.
And why did I choose this was because Lord Nataraja is on a cosmic dance between destruction and creation, between apocalypse and creation. That's how I saw it. It's the ultimate balancer. And so I thought some of my colleagues felt that this was the ideal. We had several covers, but we thought, given the narrative that I have tried to or attempted to do in the book, we thought this would be the best possible cover. So to the unknown, a billion thanks.
Yeah. And also, see, this is the fourth book that Emma has brought out. And even before it's out, he's already planning his next book. And he's got a lot of ideas for that as well. So he's not a man who will rest. He's there on all the panels and always talking about the latest topics. And here he is telling us more about the book. So tell us, Emma, what is the purpose of retaining balance?
I would suggest this way. I have seen Narendra Modi government, the first genuine Hindu government in the last 7 years, seen their budget, seen their economic policies, fiercely supported them, unabashedly been batting for them, with a fond hope on two fundamental things. That a time will come when Narendra Modi government will unleash the first genuine Hindu economic agenda. When I say Hindu, I am not limiting it to a particular religion. I mean a civilizational Hindu agenda. Which means that we, as a citizen of this great civilization, believe in duties. It is, you and I may not know, Meena, about the entire Bhagavad Gita. Stanza by stanza, we may not be able to repeat it. Even the Sanskrit is too hard. The Bhagavad Gita Sanskrit is too hard. But one shloka which all of us will find resonance immediately is Karmanyavadhikarasya ma phalechu kadachana. Meaning, do your duty, don't expect any fruits. Everybody does it. And we traditionally, whether it is you, me, the man food seller, the auto driver, the neighborhood doctor, all of us are bound by duties. But when it comes to constitution, the moment we turn away our identity from Bharatiya to Indian, we immediately talk about rights, fundamental rights, contractual obligations. We become a huge, a different character altogether. We undergo a tectonic shift. So, Meena, my idea was, there was a lack of a Hindu economic agenda, and two, this constitution, by and large, I understood was to be a Christian construct. It's based on Christian theology. It is not based on Hindu dharmic principles. And I sincerely believed that the Narendra Modi government will take up this agenda Good, bad, ugly, I don't know. They have not yet touched upon this agenda, except 370 as a political one. They have definitely taken, but socio-economic agenda has to be definitely driven, which has not been done by Narendra Modi government till date. So I thought that instead of waiting for somebody to do it, and last year when there was a huge lockdown and other things, I thought these thoughts have been recurring quite a few times. I've been fortunate enough to attend the lectures of Gurumurthy ji, had intense discussion with people like Dr. Swami, had been reading a lot of materials of Professor Jitendra Bajaj. All these, as somehow or the other, I've been accumulating these thoughts. I thought, let me pour it out. Let me bring it out in one book form. So I thought, let me do it, and that's how retaining balance came into being.
Yeah. Before we proceed, MR, just tell the viewers, because they're asking you whether it's available on Amazon.
Very shortly it will be available. It's under print right now. So probably the Kindle version will be up for grabs, say around first week of September. What's happening, ideally I should have brought it by 15th August. But because of COVID and other reasons, it goes back and forth because certain things are not in my control. For instance, a printer may have COVID, or his neighbor may have COVID, shut down, or something else happens. So it's slightly behind schedule, but chalta hai. In India, it's all okay. All's well that ends well.
Yeah. Has the writer's block ever affected you?
It did. It does. And whenever
could you talk about the writing process?
See, the writing process was very simple. It could be that suddenly some idea comes in, and you know what to write, because the whole sketch was there for me. The 10 chapters was laid down. I have not named the chapters, but when I wrote, probably I have named the chapters. But there are certain times when, for instance, the last chapter, which is named Ramrajya, is more of Rajya and less of Ram. I wanted to provoke the audience without being provocative. So the challenge was to be provoking, but without being provocative. That's very tough to do it. And especially by me, I can easily provoke, but I don't want to provoke. So it's unnatural for me. So I had to reiterate several times. But I will tell you, there is a friend of mine called Prabhakar, P.S. Prabhakar. Now, P.S. Prabhakar is a friend, guide, and philosopher to me. He's a chartered accountant here in Chennai. Prabhakar used to guide me whenever I landed into a block. And that's how I used to bail myself out. And incidentally, I will tell you, the preface for the book, I said, Prabhakar, I'm exhausted. Kindly draft it. This is how I want it. And this is how I will see to that paragraph wise, this is how it should be. But I don't want to write. Please write it. He gave me a rough sketch. Of course, I embellished it. I added my own ideas, and then it's my story. But even every book preface, I get it done by Prabhakar only.
What was your writing schedule like?
Writing schedule could be anything. It could be sitting in a flight and doing it. It could be waiting in the court and sitting and doing it. And it could be any time. But usually I sacrifice my sleep. Anywhere after 10, after I had finished my TV shows, after I called it off for a day, and hopefully there was not much of a court pressure next day. And usually this lockdown, there was a lot of time, because in lockdown, I felt by around first week of April, I realized that this is going to be a long haul. This is not going to be lockdown for last year. That I did not worry about anything. So I used to start at morning 7:38 as I got up and worked till 2-3 in the morning. So 16-17 hours a day, something like that, several days. So the challenge was not writing. The challenge was editing. The challenge was to put a cogent story one behind the other.
Yeah. So would you read some of these chapters to any of your family members just for an initial reaction?
Prabhakar was my alter ego. Of course, my wife saw that contribution was she never bothered about me, and she said, "These are all useless things that you're doing. So be done with it."
But did she feed you in between?
Yeah, of course. Endless cup of coffees and tea and snacks and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the best part of it is Prabhakar was some guy who used to look at the manuscript painfully, and he used to come back and tell me, "MR, here you have gone overboard. MR, this whole thing is a bit dragging. Have a relook. Or this point is what you have emphasized in chapter 1, but you have not. You said you will come back, but this is the right point, right place to re-emphasize it or connect it." So he used to tell me so many things. So he was like and he used to chide me also sometimes that MR, your language is too hard to read, so tone it down. No, several things help, do it. So it's not so easy.
Yeah. So did you go about it chronologically, or would you just go to random chapters and finish them off? How was the process?
The process was very simple, chapter by chapter by chapter only. Unless I finished one chapter, never go to the second chapter. First chapter, finish it, go to the second, finish it. Because there was a very clear agenda what should be fitted in each chapter. So it was between my ears, and also there was a sketch that I had roughly. And I used to also have one marker that would link each point. So that was also very important.
Yeah. The next question. With all the problems in the world like COVID, environmental threats, toolkits, how do you think Ramrajya will work?
Ramrajya is not an utopian idea. Ramrajya doesn't mean to diverse governance from the individual. On the contrary, it hopes that every individual will act responsibly and with responsibility. So the shift is from rights to duties. Shift is from Indian to being Bharatiya. So when you do this, you will automatically feel a sense of responsibility. Nobody tells you, no constitutional law tells you to take care of your parents. No law tells you to take care of your children. Nobody tells you to feed the crow or the sparrow or the cow that comes near your house or the stray dog. We all do it. We all do it out of a sense of duty, not as a sense of entitlement. We believe the plants near us. There are ladies who talk to plants. I have seen that. They believe that that the neem tree is their devi or something devata out there, and they are able to connect to it. Unless you see this happening, you cannot understand India in the way India functions. Therefore, to bring an alien constitution and to see that economics is basically a meeting point between demand and supply, I think is to trivialize that subject. We are a civilization. We are and civilization means restraints. Civilization. What is culture? What is restraint? What is civilization? All about culture. All about restraint, all about imposing discipline on ourselves and adhering to that discipline, and that discipline being the fulcrum of our entire work that we do. So you have to give that weightage to Ramrajya. Ramrajya is not that Ram will come and clean your street. Ram will not come and do Swachha Bharat. Ram will not come and educate your children. Ram will not come and give you job. Ram will not do, put your mask and ensure that when you go out, there will be somebody called Ram standing by you. He is not your secretary. Ramrajya is that each one realizes his true potential by adhering to his duty.
Yeah.
That is what I hope to achieve. And I believe that in the next 30 years, if we are able to do it, 20-25 years before I think I quit my visit to this planet, if I can able to do it, I think I'll be the happiest person.
Okay. Emma, see, we've been watching, modern India. See, there is a huge force that we have seen, as a result of the SSR movement, we have seen that Bollywood, and not only Bollywood, everything, whether it's IPL, the whole culture is to westernize our people and to make them slaves of pleasures and desires, and not to make them, dedicated to their culture and tradition. So this is a very, what do you say, concerted effort at destroying our culture, and it's happening to a lot of the youngsters, and a lot of the parents are complaining that their children have become rebels and they're going the other way, which is towards Western, values. So, what do you say about this in the context of the book and what you've written about?
See, the problem is, all of us, when we talk about rights with the Constitution, and I call it as I called it in my book as we suffer from a split personality disorder. We must be the only country where the first article of our Constitution says India, that is Bharat. No other country. Japan doesn't say we are so and so, meaning Japan. Russia doesn't say that. Mongolia doesn't say that. China doesn't say that. We are the only country we have got two names. So we have got two characters, Indians and Bharatiya. Right? But the more we want to deal with outside world, we want to be Indians. And believe me, Bollywood is, of course, affects us a lot. But Bollywood is not India or Bharat. There is a world outside Bharat. But I'm really worried about what is happening. But I have got a philosophical answer for that. You're worried about, forget the Bollywood part of the question. You see that there is a downward spiral in our culture and in our understanding about treating parents. Yesterday I saw some video where the son and the daughter-in-law had locked up their age-old mother and went off on a trip. After 8 days, the daughter comes and finds that the mother is locked, and she breaks open the lock to find a very frail age-old woman inside the house being kept captive. I shudder to think, and there was a news couple of years back, somebody had migrated to US and he has not called his mother. After some calls, he found that the mother was not picking. When he came to his home to find his mother, there was a skeleton out there. The mother had died several months back. So, of course, this is all happening right before us. The answer to that is the propensity of dharma is to spiral downwards. Dharma is not a constant. It will undergo entropy and it will gradually go down till the Lord comes in and refixes it or reassembles it. So this is the cycle this is the cosmic cycle that we believe in. Dharma will be established, but it will not be a constant. It will go down. And once it goes down, yada yada hi adharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He will come and rectify it. But doesn't mean that you and I have to be supinely indifferent to what is happening. We have to do our karmanyavadi karasya. We do our bit to see that dharma is sustained. I have dealt with this issue in chapter 4 in the context of what happened in Tamil Nadu in Kushbu's case, and I have dealt with this issue very elaborately. Point is, dharma will go down, but we need to protect dharma, and as long as we protect, dharma will protect us. But despite it, dharma will go down. It's a very paradoxical situation. We protect it, yet dharma goes down. But when dharma goes down, it is the Lord that will bring it back to workable position. So we don't have to worry about that, but we have to see what best we can do to fix the whole thing at our level. That is the more important thing.
Does the government have a role? Does the government have a role in this?
Obviously, see, the government has a very important role. But as I said, government is not that it has to be the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient state that we have conceived into the Constitution. Yeah. It has to be. Traditionally, Hindu Dharma, Hindu civilization has had a very important role for the government. but the government will be a residuary government. It will not be something that, as I call, as the omnipotent government.
Yeah.
So when we do it as a residuary government, we give it a smaller role but effective role. This is what Modi came to power by saying minimum government, maximum governance. But now you see, after 7 years, the Modi government itself is meandering into maximum government and minimum governance. So this is what afflicts, and I don't blame Modi for this. And I know people will jump and say MR is criticizing Modi. It is not a criticism of Modi, it is a criticism of the constitutional construct. The asura that we have created, called the constitution, the democracy that we have created, Modi is caught in a competitive spiral that he will have no other way but to do this.
Yeah.
The only way he can come out of this is probably to think about an expert constitutional committee that will rewrite the constitution in the way that will suit the Bharatiya civilization, where there is no artificial equality, but we will look at equity, where we will look at individual duty, not individual rights, where we will look at the government as not a coercive one, but one which is a facilitator. Facilitator means to Meena, if she is an expert in dance, drama, art, yes, she should be helped by the government. If I am a scientist, I must be helped by the government. If somebody wants to play cricket, yes, it must help him in whichever way. But the government cannot usurp every single role and say that I will help you, I will do this, not as my Bap Sarkar, but as a facilitator. It calls for a huge amount of structural changes. We are right in time for this. It's the 75th year. We are approaching the 75th year of our independence. Probably by the 100th year of our independence in, say, 2047, if we are able to deliver ourselves a newer constitution based on Bharatiya ethos, I will be the happiest person. And that is the purpose of retaining balance.
Yeah. KB is asking you, sir, kids who discard aged parents or media houses peddling fake news, even if court orders just publish apology, why are they not banned or strong punishment meted out?
See, again, we are looking at courts for punishment. We are looking at IPC for punishment. Now, why don't you boycott the channel? Simple. Why don't you boycott that news peddler? Why don't you boycott that newspaper? Why don't you watch Candid Meena? So it's as simple as that. See, you have a choice. You don't want to exercise the choice. You want somebody else to penalize. This is what you do your duty. You boycott it. You tell 10 people in WhatsApp, 10 people in Twitter, yes, this is a rotten channel. Let us boycott it. And you know, the power of 10 people boycotting it today means 20 years down the line, we may cleanse our media of all this nonsense. Now, I don't want to do anything. I want to simply sit and see that things will be cleaned by somebody else, is what I would say is a Christian construct. I will have to tell you, the problem with us is we are not Hindus. We are Hindus by religion, but Christian by thought. In Christian theology, they believe that Adam and Eve was the first two people, and Eve lured Adam, and the first sin was committed. And subsequently, all those who were born, especially women, were born bad. And so they realized that they require an external agent called Christ for salvation, in the theological sense, and they required government, an omnipotent government, for the governance or the secular world. This is how Christian theology developed. In fact, I have quoted a book by Charles Boyce to say that every single Christian or the Western scientific thought, whether it is in economics, politics, science, even in biology, evolution biology, they have the same idea that is repeated again and again and again and again. That is, that man is selfish, man is brutish, man is self-preservatory, and hence he will do anything. And so man requires an external agent, and that is why we require a constitution, why we require a state. On the contrary, we believe, the original name of Mahabharata was called Jaya. Jaya means victory over self. We believe that we have the ability to deal with our problems ourselves. So there is a war going on between broken self under the Christian theology and the divine self under the Hindu theology. We believe every soul is divine. That is what Swami Vivekananda said. Every soul is divine. We believe that we see in Meena a goddess. We see in somebody else a goddess, a god. We believe the cow, monkey, snake. Do you believe that? Can you believe that people worship snakes, in this country? The king cobra is worshipped. No other civilization will do it. We believe that Nagaraj.
Yeah.
And there are people, traditional people, who play with snakes.
Yeah.
Who can deal with it, talk with it, communicate with it. Sparrow, cow, you name it, crow, you name it. So what is required is to go back to our roots and rework our constitution.
See,
and
when
if
you
we rework our constitution, will rework our economics automatically.
See now, Imad, you say that a lot of this can be handled by people themselves by doing things on their behalf and
Yes.
showing people that we do not care about you. Hence, you will lose money that way.
Yes.
Okay. Now here is another
Nothing
point.
works. That may not be very alluring, but that is very effective.
Yeah.
No, supposing Candid Meena gets banned by High Court, God forbid, that becomes a very big talking point. High Court ne ban kar diya. But 10 people, take the step of banning a particular channel.
Yeah.
It may not be visible, but you start doing this, then it has a profound impact. And we have seen it. There are certain channels which are boycotted by people left, right, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Could MRV give his thoughts on where IIT guy was given bail on Alke rape case, standing? Yeah, the guy has bright future.
See, on bail matters, it's the discretion of the court. But again, I have to go back to what I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. These are all things that we get from the Christian idea. A person who violates the privacy of any other person, more so if it happens to be a woman, deserves no sympathy whatsoever. But the court, in all its wisdom, has thought it fit and contrived to give him bail. But in the same breath, I think it added, prima facie, the case will stand. That's what it has said also. You have to be very fair to the court. And it said, words to that effect that I read somewhere, that the court also said that, look, we believe that he has committed the crime. Prima facie, there are some evidences. But we are giving him bail because let him pursue his study. And at a later point of time, if he's guilty, obviously he will have to face the consequences.
Yeah.
So I think they have found via media, and bail is, after all, the discretion of the judge, and it is a balancing factor.
Okay. See, MR, we always talk about, courts asking for evidence, CBI asking for evidence, federal agencies asking for evidence. Now, I don't know whether you are aware, whether you've been watching our channel. There's a lady called Deepthi Pinati who has got evidence in the form of SSR diaries. Okay. She does readings of it in our channel regularly. And it is from what we gather, a lot of it is his thoughts and how he was trying to reveal everything in the same manner as Sunanda Pushkar was going to do in a press conference.
Correct.
So she has gone twice to CBI, once in Bombay and once now in Delhi, just a few days back. CBI, they accept it, but they don't, they don't acknowledge it. And Bombay simply refused to meet her on some pretext. Why are they doing this? You are a lawyer. Tell us, why are they doing this?
Well, very strange, because CBI is known to take evidences from anybody and everybody and then put it to its own scrutiny.
Yes.
And it is not uncommon for a totally unconnected person to walk up to CBI and hand over some documents or evidences, because for them, It may be a clue that they are waiting and they don't have it at that point in time, which may probably redirect the scope of investigation or the course of investigation. It's very surprising to me that the Bombay CBI brushed it aside. But having said that, I would also add that if CBI in Delhi has taken control of these evidences, I hope she has not given the original ones. She has given the duplicate or
just a letter, only a letter.
In which case, I think there are ways and means of handing it over to the CBI. Probably they are also skeptical about the person, or they will do their own check and find out what it is. And believe me, CBI is one I've been consistent on this, Meena, that because I have worked, or I have at least known quite a few officers personally who have cracked the most tough cases in this country, toughest cases in this country. So they have assured me that if there is no political influence, that is the biggest if. Sushant Singh's case should have been over by now. Now, if that is not getting over, I only have to feel that I only have to come to a safe surmise that there is a political influence. And because of that political influence, we are not seeing the end of this case. Now, I leave it to your viewer to come to their own conclusion about what I say. The unsaid portion of my statement would be far more potent than if I say something more than this.
KB is asking, can Emma sir tell us why Riyas' bail has not yet been cancelled? Even the NCB appealed for that.
See, again, as I say, things don't happen the way you want it to happen. The courts are under tremendous pressure. We are perhaps the least per capita judges per lakh population in the whole country, whole world. And in between there was COVID, and cancelling the bail would mean that you have to put her back in jail. They may not want it. Strategically, they let her out. There is yet another thing you must understand. Some of these guys are, I shouldn't say this, but I will explain it to you. Some of these guys become so complacent. They start blabbering several things on the phone. There's several things that they blabber to their friends, relatives. That, "Arey, yaar, CBI ne kuch ukada nahi mera. Sab dekh liya inka. And I am going to do," again, they go back to their old contacts and do what they wanted to do. So to establish fail-proof evidences in the court, the final link, probably they will wait and overhear what they are doing. They might have been bugged. They will be following it. It's a very painful process, but they will have to do it till they get the clinching evidence. Again, the capital F, provided there is no political influence. If that is there, then nothing can happen. If without political influence, I think that the case will, you don't have to question CBI's competency. It's only a question of loyalty.
Yeah. Just one more question on that. That Sushma's asking, it seems Disha's case has been closed by Mumbai police.
See, Disha's case cannot be closed by Mumbai police. Disha's case is interlinked, intertwined, and it is an integral part of Sushant Singh's case. If you want to know why Sushant died, you have to know how Disha died. If you want to know Disha died by committing suicide, we want to know why she committed suicide, or if she was pushed from that height of a building, we would like to know who pushed and why, and what is the link between her death and Sushant Singh's death. So these actually, it is not one single murder case, it is two of them, each one interlinked, intertwined, and integral part of the other. So Bombay police may have its own view. Good luck to them. The CBI, when it is investigating, the operating part of the order was very clear. They can go back and forth anywhere and add any other cases to link it to this case. Whether they have done it, we don't know.
Also, MR, I hope you know that Jia's case has been retaken, by the CBI court. Now, just find out. Now, this case is linked to Suraj and Aditya Panchodi.
Yes.
Now, do you have any doubt that a superstar has left the country for shooting in Russia? Could be a reason that he's hiding there, or he's moved deliberately there because he may be linked to it.
I don't want to speculate, on all these things. Yes, the needle of suspicion has been pointing out to him. And we must also know one simple thing, that he is the person who was convicted by one court, and within hours he got bail in the High Court.
Yes.
So, and it happened right under this regime. And his proximity to the powers that be is well known on both sides of the political spectrum. So, I would not be surprised that the man has gone to Russia for a holiday or for shooting, and he cares two hoots about all these things, because he knows that come what may, there are people in power to protect him. So let us not build castles in air. Let us be grounded to realities. The fact of the matter is, in this country, no celebrity other than Jayalalitha and Shashikala has ever been convicted and punished.
Okay. Returning to your book, how is the family linked to economics? See, for example, how should Indian economy recover post-COVID and imminent threats from China, Pakistan, and Taliban? How is the family linked to economics?
The answer for this is right through the length and breadth of the book, which is around 2 lakh words. And to me, family is everything. When I say family, I mean my parents, my wife, my children, my sister, her children, and it goes on. The whole of it. My cousins' children, all of them mean a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to all of us Indians. I cannot fathom anywhere in the world that a family is the most important decider of all economic activity. I'll give you a simple example. Take a case of a very, very poor family which has got, say, 100 rupees today. And if the child wants to go and watch a movie, the mother has an option to give it that 100 rupees, which is precious for that family today, and allow that child to enjoy the 3 hours in a movie, or to save that 100 rupees for the betterment and future of that child. Now, this decision only a mother can take. I don't think anybody else can take. And it will be a billion decisions every day by every mother in this billion plus population country. You can't have a joint secretary taking it. You can't have an undersecretary taking it. And it is step by step. See, please understand the poverty that, say, my grandfather saw, having 2 or 3 dhotis, which was the ultimate luxury that he had, to a stage where my father would walk across to save the 20 paisa and 30 paisa in bus charge, so that he can give me a prosperous future, to a stage where my generation today can lead a luxurious life that we would not have seen, say, 15 years back, is all because of the tremendous values of family that we have inculcated from our ancestors, especially our forefathers. And that is what is putting us in good stead. Let me put it colorfully. Goddess Lakshmi has got 4 arms. And it symbolizes investment, saving, consumption, production. Now, when you produce, you must consume. And when you consume, you must not consume the entire production. You must leave something for saving. You must leave something to saving. The saving must go towards investment. And investment must lead to production. The 4 arms of Goddess Lakshmi are symmetrical to the other. Now, if one arm goes big and other arm goes small, your entire economic policies comes in, the currency policy, trade policy, import policy, taxation policy, fiscal policy, monetary policy, you name every damn thing. Economics is all about balancing these four arms of Goddess Lakshmi. And Goddess Lakshmi is nothing but your mother who balances all the four. She takes decisions on every damn thing, and it puts every single thing. You will see the imprint of the family you want to decide. Whether you want to invest, family takes a decision. Whether you want to spend, family takes a decision. Everywhere you will find the decision being taken by various set of people within the family. And it is this which drives the economy, and it is this which will power the economy. Now, how much of family will be destroyed and how much of it is getting corroded from within? See, I would still say that it has not reached a threshold or inflection point of total destruction. There is a good amount of family values in all parts of India. It's a good amount of people who believe in taking care of age-old parents, people who believe in taking care of children, people who are educating their children, mothers who sacrifice their careers to see that the house is being maintained and balanced. The greatest of balancer must be the Indian woman, between maintaining her career, maintaining her house, children, in-laws, parents, so many things. And this is what is symbolic of what is our strength. This is our strength. Unfortunately, governments don't recognize this. Governments believe that this family is something that is malleable, that can be foo-fooed away, that can be destroyed, and it will make no great impact on the revenues of the government. It does make. And that is what my book is all about, that we have to restore the family values and see that the government does not destroy family. On the contrary, it must ensure that the families are balanced, and it protects and regenerates family values. And this, as we have to do it as a civilization. And believe me, we have a Ministry of Culture. There is no Ministry of Culture. There is nothing called culture. Culture is what we are. Civilization is what we were. It should be rechristened as Ministry of Civilization. And what is our civilization? Civilization is all about Lord Rama. And Lord Rama, by being wedded to Lord Ma Sita, gave a very powerful message to all of us, that the family values embedded in one man for a wife or a lady, or what we call as Uruvanuku Oruthi in Tamil, okay, as a person for a lady, is what is our civilization all about. Nothing can be better than this. It is so powerful a message. That is why we call Lord Rama as our civilizational God. It is not without anything. We don't call Lord Krishna, Shiva. They have their own values in our system. But Lord Rama gives us the idea of civilization. He converts what I would say animals into man, the Homo sapiens, by building in an institution of monogamous marriage. That is what we as a civilization owe it to the rest of the world. If a Chinese prime minister comes in, or an American prime minister comes in, or a Mongolian prime minister comes in, it is important that we hand over him a book of Ramayana and tell him, please read it, because this is not mythology, this is not religious text, this is economics. And this we want to teach to the outside world, that you build a family. Family is the most basic institution. That is the building block of civilization. And once people are civilized, they will automatically do the duty. And based on the duty, only you create the entire system. You will find the role of governments coming down, cost of governance coming down. You have a whole lot of impact on it. This is India's message to the outside world. But we don't do that. We show him that stupid building called Taj Mahal. Anybody who comes in, we take him to Taj Mahal and show him. Why don't we tell him that we have got so much other things which we owe it to the outside world, to give our knowledge.
And a question from Gopal. He says, when will the judiciary be free from political clutches?
Oh, this is a very tough question, I would say. But see, technically, judiciary is very independent in India. Now, I don't know what is your evidence that judiciary is linked or is hooked on to the political class, or the political class is controlling the judiciary. Now, if you give me an evidence for that, I can rebut it, or I can answer it in any other way. But to me, technically, judiciary is in this country is independent, and it is widely respected for independence. Of course, it has its own idiosyncrasies. It has several of the judgments are questionable. Several of it is very poorly drafted, especially on technical subjects. We find that it is hard to digest. But despite all its shortcomings, it has reasonably performed well. Of course, there is tremendous scope to improve. But if you are going to lay a charge that it is under the clutches of the political bosses, the onus comes to you, and you have to prove whether that exists or not with all its pomposity. If you fail, then you run the risk of being hauled up for contempt of court. So I would only advise you, if you are younger to me, and if you are elder to me, I would plead with folded hands that don't ask such, very outlandish questions and invite ridicule on yourself and our system. Let us learn to trust our people. Let us learn to believe that there are good amount of people, both on the political side and on the judicial side, who are doing their best. But, they come from the same society as you and I come in, where there is more skepticism than actual underperformance. We don't believe our own Indians. We don't trust our own Indian systems. We somehow seem to have a contempt for this country as a psychological makeup. We need to get rid of this. We need to believe that, yes, there are honest people on the political side who would not interfere in the judiciary. And even if they do, the judiciary has got quite a number of stalwarts who would not brook any political interference. So I think we should leave it at that and not unnecessarily go back and say that, look, judiciary is being taken in for a ride with the political class. That's too crass a statement.
Again, he says the examples are the states not abiding by the orders of court, like Maharashtra, state going against the court orders in lots of occasions.
Yeah, there are. That's why I said, again, if you go, that is not to say that, in fact, that answers your first question. If the government is not going ahead with the orders of the court, then that means that the court and the political class are completely disconnected. Hope that somewhere down the line there will be somebody who will take it for contempt. And judges don't like to use the contempt astra very frequently because it reduces its potency. So there are several issues. Leave it at that. But yes, I agree with you. Judiciary needs to perform better on a whole, on the aggregate. That I agree with you.
Yeah. Dr. Uma is saying, when will the government change the history book content, our precious history, to be rewritten?
Well, Javadekar ji was very happy that he has not changed a single word in the history book. Unfortunately or fortunately, he was sacked. Of course, 2-3 years later than what he should have been done for that particular statement. My view is very simple. Let us assume that we are going to even rewrite the history. Do we have enough scholars to write the history properly? I'm very worried about it. We tom-tom about these things, but do we have scholars, historians, who really are truthful to the events that happened in history without overemphasizing certain things or underemphasizing certain things? We have to necessarily develop scholars first. Unfortunately, the cupboard is bare. It is like the Indian batting order, very, very brittle. So we need to first develop it, and then we go about and then say, yes, we want to change, we will change. Once scholars come in, automatically it will happen. Like Vikram Sampath has done a phenomenal work on Savarkar. My good friend Sai Deepak has done a phenomenal work on the constitutions, on its origin. He's in fact writing a trilogy. I thank them profusely, because these are the people. Sandeep Balakrishnan has written a book. All these people are doing phenomenal work in providing scholarly answers. They are not doing this tweet, or they are not depressed, or they don't blame government. They are coming out with clear solutions. Here it is. Take it or leave it. Now I say this is a fact. Now you want to challenge me on fact? Please challenge me. I am ready. This is, in fact, all the 3 books. Sandeep Balakrishnan, Sai Deepak, Vikram Sampath. All the 3 are a must read by all of you, and I would strongly commend that all of you must buy these books and read it. Why? Because it tells you the answer to all that you are talking about lies in substantial part in these type of books. Write a scholarly book, write a book on Nehru, write a book on Gandhi, write a book on Quit India, do research, do read, come about. That's how we will all prosper. It is not it's very easy to criticize and say, chalta nahi hai, wo hota nahi hai. All this is okay, but we need to bring positivity. We have to answer by doing and performing.
A last question, Emma. What can viewers expect from your book? Now we're talking about laymen, okay? What can the ordinary reader expect from your book?
I have written a book in a very peculiar form that I chose to in a particular way, namely, and put a lot of questions, and I have not answered it in full. Why? Because I have decided that I will not answer them. Rather, I will lead the reader to decide as to what is the appropriate answer for these questions. So you can expect a lot of questions. Answers, I will provide it in my own way, but I will not provide the direct answers. The answers is for you to search. It is for the discerning reader to find out what he is able to take home from the book. Like the cover which Meenaji displayed, which is the hazy Nataraj. It is not the chiseled Nataraj, the laser-like Nataraj. What we got, it was a Nataraj which is hazy. Likewise, I will allude to certain things and left it for the reader to decide, because I should not decide for you as to what is correct and what is wrong. I should only lead and say that this is what is possible. Please think about it.
I wish you a lot of success in not only this book, but the coming books as well. Emma, see, since you speak very lucidly, and whenever you are on any channel, it's very easy to see what you're expressing, because it's very, very clear. You don't have the nonsense that comes from the opposition. And again, see, this book itself seems very, very interesting. People, as he said, it will be soon available on Amazon in case you'd like to buy it. And I think
maximum by 15th September, you should be getting it on Amazon. And by 5th, I think we should be having it in the Kindle and other soft copies.
Thank you so much, Emma, for coming to our program and answering some of the questions as well. And wish you all the best.
Thank you.